Welcome back to This Week in Review. I'm Dina Marsden, the new Program Director for BBS. This Week in Review consists of an...
And I just wanted to tell them, don't worry about this because this is not...
Many or how they're created, right now we don't know, but I think the main issue...
Please stay tuned.
I'm Tammy. Tamara and I are champs, members of the War Amps Child Amputee Program. I lost my leg when I was 2. I chased a ball onto the street and was hit by a car. Now I warn young children to play safe. Remember, spot the danger before you play.
Safety is no accident, so play safe.
A message from the War Amps.
Last week, I met with Mr. Gerald McDonald, the union president for FFAW, to discuss the issue concerning the fishery and the fish plant.
Thank you.
This is the union president for FFAW. Just a few questions I like to ask you, but the issue is going on now.
Okay.
What was the purpose for the 2 union members going on hunger strike on December the 1st?
Well, I guess, first of all, they took it on themselves without any consultation from the local union. It was a decision of those 2 individuals. And I guess, basically, we reported to them as well as other members that we were sending letters to the Minister of Fisheries, Brian Tobin, and also Roger Simmons, and I think it was something like 2 weeks had passed, and we didn't have any response at that time. So the 2 individuals took it on themselves to go on a hunger strike, which they felt was going to get the attention of the federal minister. And I agree with them. It certainly did get the attention of somebody because they weren't on the hunger strike any longer than 26 hours, and they got a response. So in terms of their actions, what they took, I certainly congratulate them on that. And like I say, it's a decision of their own without any consultation from the union, but we're certainly proud that they did take this action and got results from the Minister of Fisheries.
That's great. How did the government respond after the 2 hunger strikers ended the demonstration?
The government responds through our MP, Roger Simmons. He phoned the 2 hunger strikers and talked to them himself, and he also phoned there to the local committee here at the office. And well, I guess our objective was to get a meeting with the federal minister because we had a lot of concerns, and those concerns, of course, was the trawler license and our offshore fish quotas. So the MP did respond to the 2 individuals and the local committee, and stated that Mr. Tobin is prepared to meet with the committee in the near future. Now, I suspect that meeting is going to be after Christmas, I suspect, but even with that said, that we do have a meeting with Mr. Tobin to discuss the problems that the community are going through.
Very good. From the Richard Cashin's report that he put out regarding the future of the East Coast fishery, did you see anything in the report that's positive for the future, Virgil?
Well, in regards to Mr. Cashin's report, and I assume this is the one you're talking about, charting a new course towards the fishery of the future. I believe that's the one that came out last week. In regards to that report, I see some positive things, I guess, in terms of fish plant workers and also fishermen. But we all know the state of the Canadian fishery is at an all-time low, and I guess I refer back to the report that was released last week as well. This is the report from the FRCC recommendations on the Canadian quotas, and that report tells me that there's nothing in regards to Canadian quotas that's going to be fished next year. What areas is open as a very low quota of 5,000 tons, which is not enough for any offshore trawlers to fish, with the exception of FBI, which has a great fish quota of 20 million tons, I believe. But in regards to the recommendations from the FRCC, and I guess in consultation with Richard's report, for the offshore fishery in the next 5 to 7 years, there's going to be nothing. The first, I guess, group of fisher persons that will take part in the fishery will be open line fishermen, and it's going to be some time before we see stocks rebuilding up to have an offshore fishery. But in Richard's report, there is a recommendations for early retirement at the age of 50, and I suspect, you know, that the government's going to have to look at this very seriously, because there's quite a few people in the fishery at the age of 50 and over that will accept an early retirement if the income is great enough. And a person 50 years old certainly has dependents, which is still living with him, so he's certainly going to need, you know, I guess a reasonable amount of income to survive on. So that is in the report. And also in the report for fish plant workers, like in the past over the years, we've had weeks in the plant where production workers have only worked 2 to 3 days a week, which give them a low stamp. Now in the report, that's being done away with, and there is, you know, the incentive and encouragement for a person to work even on a low week. So things like that in the report. But I guess the report in general is saying that when the fishery do come back in the future, there's only going to be half the people in the fishing industry that is there now. And I don't know, you know, the early retirement is going to take care of some. There's a lot of people that probably find other jobs and will continue on with that. So it's not going to be easy for nobody, and I guess we're going to have to try and make the best of the bad situation.
What do you think the future for Virgil holds?
Well, my personal opinion, and again, given the state of the Canadian fishery, in the Barents Sea last year they had a quota of about 600,000 metric tons, which is a larger quota than we've ever had in our northern cod fishery. And we've seen a lot of that fish come into Canadian plants, the frozen product, and produce. Next year in '94, that quota is going to be 750,000 metric tons, so there's a 150,000 ton increase in that quota. So I see, within the next year, I see the Virgil plant operating on frozen net sea fish, mind you, with not the same number of employees we have now, because even in Richard's report stating half the people won't be back in the fishery. We're going to have a reduced workforce, but I see that plant operating on frozen net sea fish, with or without Mr. Barr, you know, that's entirely up to him. But I believe that's the route we gotta go. And the plants that can operate on frozen net sea fish has a better chance to be a part of the fishery of the future when it do come back. Because if you leave a plant like Virgil idle for 5, 7, 8 years, whatever, no machinery turning over, you hinder them, your boiler room could be completely closed, everything is going to be, you know, seized to a point and deteriorated at 8 years' time. It will cost a fortune just to even start it up. So I believe that the plants that do this frozen net sea fish will be have a good chance for the fishery of the future, and I think that's where we're headed.
I hope you're right.
I certainly hope so.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I guess in regards to the situation that's been happening around Virgil area, well, I've been serving the court injunction, and that came as no surprise. I guess knowing what we're dealing with there. And also in the past week, there's been 8 other individuals that's been served with the same court injunction. And I just want to tell them, you know, don't worry about this, because this is not a criminal offense. This, you know, it's just court injunction, and we certainly, our lawyers is working on this, and I'm sure that they'll do the best they can. But it's not nothing that anyone should worry about. And hopefully in the new year now, we'll get a meeting with the Minister of Fisheries, Mr. Tobin, and try and work out some solutions for the Virgil plant. So probably once we get that meeting out, we'll sit down and have another conversation.
Yeah, will do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Christmas is around the corner, and everyone has started decorating.
Even our volunteers did a little bit of decorating as well.
Of all the trees most lovely, oh Christmas tree, of all the trees most lovely. Each year you bring to me delight, gleaming in the Christmas night, oh Christmas tree. Oh, Christmas tree, of all the trees most lovely. Oh, Christmas tree, with faithful leaves unchanging. Oh, Christmas tree, with faithful leaves unchanging. Your boughs are green in summer's glow, and do not fade in winter's snow. Oh, Christmas tree, with faithful leaves unchanging.
Other volunteers helped to decorate outside of our BBS office. Enjoy. If anyone has any information concerning this incident, please call the BBS office at 886-2935. And of course, the lighting of our Christmas tree. On behalf of myself, the staff, and the board members of BBS, we'd like to thank each and every one who came out to make this event an enjoyable one and a great success. Thank you. Other Christmas activities were held as well.
I believe in Santa Claus. I believe in Santa Claus. I believe in Santa Claus.
you tell me what you made today, love?
Yeah.
What did you make today?
Ask for.
Oh, that's pretty. Did you do that yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah? What is it, my love?
Oscar.
And you're going to hang it on your tree?
Yeah.
Good. That's great. Did you make... Okay, great. Here, look. Oh, you did that yourself? Good girl.
What about this one? Did you glue that on by yourself? Yeah.
Good girl. That's really neat. And you're going to hang it up for Christmas? Are you going to hang it on your tree?
Yeah.
Yeah? And what's your name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer. That's great, Jennifer. Thank you. Now, hello?
I'm trying to ring.
parade on its way. Of course, there's the fire truck that always leads the Santa Claus parade every year. It's something the children always enjoy. And there comes the kid that's joining the parade again. That was the high school float that just went by, and this is the elementary school float. This is some of the kids from the elementary school. And coming up, this is the Lioness float, I believe. And that's the Boy Scouts float coming up there now. And that was the ground search and rescue just went by, and this one is the hospital. Next float, this is the Sea Cadet float. Of course, that's the ambulance also supporting this event. This float coming up should be the Lions Club float. And right behind is the LOL, LOBA, and RBP float. This next float, I believe, is from the fire brigade. And that's Divine Flowers there. And next one, that's Smokey Saves Christmas by the Brunettes. A little bit of problem there with Detroit. And that's the Children's Wish Foundation float. Following that, that's the Scotiabank float coming up there. And that's TRI float right behind. And this float coming up here is by the Pathfinders. And of course, when you see the fire truck, you know, right behind is Jolly O St. Nick and Mrs. Claus, of course. And there they are. Hope you guys have enjoyed the Santa Claus Parade. And again, I'd like to thank the Hydro for letting us use their truck. And I'd especially like to thank Mr. Matt Parsons for volunteering to operate the boom truck for us. So thank you and have a wonderful Christmas. Please stay tuned for more great stories after this.
The horrors of war. I'm Cliff Chatterton of the War Amps. Those of us who experienced war firsthand have a message for all Canadians. Never again. Never again must we risk global conflict. A military deterrent if necessary, but we must prevent war. Call this toll-free number to borrow our Never Again video series. This has been a message from the War Amputations of Canada.
Although most people here in Burgeo are unemployed, there are still new businesses starting up and existing businesses expanding. There are other businesses undergoing renovations. The latter part of this week, I met with our new mayor, Mr. Blaine Marks. This is our new mayor of Burgeo, Mr. Blaine Marks. And there's just a few questions that I'd like to ask you to touch on, jumping from everywhere. Just a few questions.
Okay.
Yeah?
I'll try to answer.
Okay. What are some of the challenges that you've encountered being the new mayor of Burgeo?
Well, I guess our biggest challenge as a new council is going to be job creation. We have to try to revitalize, I guess, the economy if there's any way possible. And that has been on the top of our list. And we're going to do all that's in our power to try to accomplish that goal. You know, jobs have got to be the main challenge right now. How many or how they're created, right now we don't know, but I think the main issue is try to get the fish plant operating in some way, shape, or form in the near future, and that's our biggest challenge, I think, for the next term.
Right now, what's the status of the old cottage hospital?
Right now, the old cottage hospital is in the process of being turned over to the town. It's going to be given to the town for a nominal fee. The papers are in the process of being drawn up, and that should be all finalized and signed over in the new year. As for the structure itself, right now we have the electricity left on. There are some lights that we keep on, of course, for security reasons. But the heating system has been shut down and drained, and the water is turned off, and all pipes are drained down. As for the long-term plan of, for that building, we're not really sure what's going to happen. If it's going to be disposed of through public tender, or if we can find a way of utilizing the building for community use, like groups or businesses, that sort of thing. That has not yet been decided.
Well, my next question was still based on, well, it can relate to the cottage hospital. Have you got any response from business entrepreneurs regarding probable business proposals for Birch Hill?
We've had a couple of people actually over the past week, I would say, have expressed an interest to see the structure. They've come in from out of town, looked at the structure, taken pictures, with a view, I think, of probably developing it, or at least knowing what the building is like, so that if it does go to public tender, they can probably tender on it, and they have ideas of how they would like to use it. But locally, the Diversification Committee, and I have to say, I think, I say the committee, but mainly Owen Marsden, I think he's got to be commended for the work that he's put into this. They put out feelers on the, what need is there for use of that. And there's been some interesting, proposals, I guess you call it, as to use of the space in the hospital. But again, that's got to be looked into really to see how I guess, how financially stable that thing is, what finances can be acquired to proceed with that. But there is local interest for that facility.
And what about, is there other business proposals outside of the cottage hospital, like for Prosperous, the Birch Hill area?
Nothing, I don't think, not that I can think of right now. But like I say, there has been a number of people been in to look at that. I guess knowing that there is a facility there,
Yeah.
it's probably, they look at it, it's easier to probably buy something that's there than to come in and try to build, because let's face it, we haven't got a lot of land to offer, right? Excuse me.
Jumping to another topic now. What are your views towards the issue concerning sea freeze and the Burgea fish plant workers?
Well, I don't want to touch that as to sea freeze and the workers. Excuse me. My view, overall view, I guess, with the sea freeze thing in the community, from a community point of view, I think if there's a future for the fishery in Burgea, that we have to start working with sea freeze, basically, because the way I see it is there's no other company really that's, can operate the place. I should say can operate the place, but other companies, of course, are closing down. Sea freeze owns the property. They have, or they say they have access to some of this frozen net sea fish, and I think we have to build on what we got. I mean, we have to face it that the fishery of the future is not going to be as it was in the past. We have to realize that there's going to be a scale down, and I think we have to look at that, seriously look at that and say, we have to look at the proposal that's been on the table. It's, as far as I know, as of yesterday, it's still there on a smaller scale now due to the quota cuts and whatever. But I think we have to look at that and see if we can develop something there and then build on that. That's my view on that one.
Dealing with tourism now. What steps are needed to be taken to promote tourism in this area?
Well, I think the first thing we have to do is to show our area in a positive way. And I think that can't be really done on a community basis. I think what we have to do, and I've talked with a couple of people in Ramia, on the council in Ramia, we've sort of, not say officially, but just off the cuff sort of thing, talking back and forth, that what we really need to do to promote tourism in the area is to promote the area, which is not say promote Burgeo or promote Ramia, but we have to promote the whole area, and that's something that we have to look at in the future. And because let's face it, if you can draw people in for something that's happening in Ramia, they've got to pass through Burgeo. If they're in Burgeo, I mean, it's a nice side tour to go to Ramia or Grey River. You know, it's an area that we have to develop. It's the tourism area, and not just a community. And I think there's a lot of possibilities there.
How would you suggest improving the economy in general of Burgeo?
Well, I guess the only way to improve the economy is to create jobs. And I think where we have to start is, I guess, where our roots are, and that's in the fishery. If there's any possibility of creating 50 or 100 jobs, I think we have to go for it and start from there, and then whatever else comes, you know, we'll have to take it. But I think we have to start to have something to build on. I don't think it's realistic right now to think that we can start off, you know, a business or industry coming here to start with 400 jobs. It would be great if, you know, if they did, but I think realistically, I think it's pie in the sky, and we have to start now, I think, small and start building on that.
Okay. That's all questions I have for you, but is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, I've got nothing to add, I suppose, except that, you know, as being mayor is new for me, and we have a new council, and we have sort of, you know, adopted certainly an open door and an open mind policy. We're open to suggestions or any sort of business proposals. You know, we'll look at everything, and we're trying to work with, you know, work along with all groups, because you know, if we can create one job, you know, next week or two next month, that's one or two that we don't have right now, and that's where we've got to work from there. It's really, I think it's going to be a long, hard struggle, but I think there's, you know, that the bunch that we have there, that I think they're determined to see what they can, put everything into it, and work for the old community. And that's our, basically, I guess, our plan for the next 4 years, to see what we can do. We're not making any promises, just that we promise, I guess our promise is that we'll do the best that we can. You know.
And that's all you can do?
Basically, that's, you know, in the tough economic times that we're in, I guess that's basically all we can do. But I guess we all got to hope for the best. And somewhere down the road, I think this whole situation will probably, you know, we can look back at it and say, well, you know, it wasn't that bad. We got through that one. And everything else, though, probably everything will start to smell like roses.
I hope so. Great.
Very good.
All right, thank you very much.
On Monday, December 13th, there was a Lifeline course being held at the FFAW. One of the instructors informed me that this was one of 5 sessions required before completion.
That'll be their base where all the operations come from, okay? Then you got our region. You got the Fire up north, and Royal Labrador, eastern Quebec, New Brunswick, Grand Max, okay. You got the phone right here where you need you every time all day while you're up there. And air resources owned and operated by Canadian Coast Guard and Department of National Defense, specifically for search and rescue. That's all those boats do. It's like this one down here. It's all those boats do, search and rescue, okay? Secondary, all other government vessels and aircraft which may be called upon for search and rescue. Any governmental visitor residents in their areas can be called into the search and rescue. It's a carrier, coastal thing like that, okay? Now this is the Welfare Greenfield. She's a primary search and rescue boat. Just the tell by color, it's white and red. Let's see what we're on this one. She's a primary station in the Lifeline region. She's like 225 feet long, maximum speed of 16 knots, carries a crew of 20. Greenfield is equipped with the 10-bed hospital, various technical slides in other areas. It's usually tied up together. We try to get them in there in the last 20 years for the, but we're not going to be technical hotels now, we really have to be more down this whole thing. All right.
During Christmas, please practice fire safety. The Burgeo Fire Department did up a few safety tips to help you. If using a natural tree, cut the butt diagonally. Stand the tree in water and maintain water supply. Do not let the tree block access to doors or windows. Set up tree away from drapes and sources of heat. Use approved lighting sets and non-flammable decorations. Switch off your tree lights at bedtime and when leaving your home. Do not use indoor lights outdoors. Install outdoor lights with all the bulbs pointing downwards. Keep an operating dry chemical fire extinguisher handy at all times. A home smoke detector and an all-purpose dry chemical fire extinguisher makes excellent Christmas gifts. Have a safe and happy holiday. And that's from the Burgeo Fire Department. Before we go to the bandwagon, Santa Claus asked me to thank all the boys and girls who called in and talked to him at our studio today. Santa will do his best to get you what you requested. And thank you, Santa, for taking time out of your busy schedule to come to our studio today. We've come to the end of our show for tonight, so please stay tuned for the Christmas bandwagon. On behalf of BBS and BBS volunteers, I'm Dina Marsden, wishing you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Holy shit. Holy sugar. What's wrong with this shit now? You wanna run, do you wanna run?
The motor's off. Yeah. I can't do something else than that.